Okay, Catherine, help me out a little bit. What am I doing wrong with my drive?
So I would say it was something specifically that you did wrong there. I mean, Athena hit this awesome return, stayed super low. Your contact point was where? Like about knee level almost?
Yeah.
That's gonna be so hard to clear that ball. And even if you drive it and you clear the net, I mean, their contact point is gonna be up here. So that's probably not something we want. I would try to drop that one. Okay. That's one scenario where I would use your third shot drop instead of driving that ball. You should drive when, let's say, Athena, you hit a good serve, Athena hits it, and it's somewhat high, right? It bounces, and then after the bounce, you're clearly above the net. That would be a good opportunity to go for that drive instead of dropping it. I would say if we were playing outside and it's super windy, that would be another good opportunity to drive instead of dropping, because that ball's gonna go everywhere. In a match, let's say you play at 8 a.m., usually you have nerves, right? Going into the first match. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I do in the first match. So what kind of naturally start happening to your grip? You start being a little bit more tense. It's very hard to keep that loose grip. So it might be easier at that point to drive. But now, Sean, that's not a good excuse because we've been playing for a couple hours and you drove it. But no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, just be careful. If you did decide to drive it to get an easier fifth shot drop, I would say you need more topspin and way less power to clear the net on that
also,
one.
if Athena had been staying back, would that be a good time to drive it too? If you have an opponent that likes to stay back, which happens probably lower levels.
That's I forgot to talk about that for sure. If Athena is taking a long time to get up to the kitchen line, yeah, I would go right at her feet.
Okay.
And not at you because you're standing there already, but I would say to the person who's coming up, if they're stacking, they're switching, I would go to the person that's running from the baseline as well. If you notice, let's say we notice that Athena just doesn't handle the volleys very well, then we might drive at her. But it's really about placement. We're not looking for power. I know like power is fun to generate power on your third shot drive, but it's more of a placement. It's really important to think more, I'm placing my drive instead of I'm gonna hit this as hard as I can. And I would say if they're both at the kitchen line, sometimes too, what would be a good third shot drive placement on their body, right? So let's say they mishit their return, it's sitting up high, and they both made it, for some reason, they both made it behind the kitchen line. Where should I drive that ball? Where would be a good placement to drive it?
Left shoulder?
At the body?
Her left shoulder, maybe?
So I would say to be a little bit more specific, I would try to aim towards that right hip here, because a lot of people, a lot like me, I prefer my backhand. So you want to find that chicken wing here. Okay, so again, that's why placement is more important. You want to keep it as low as possible on your drives. And if you can, try to aim for that right hip so they're super uncomfortable with your drive. And you get kind of a pop-up, an easier way to get up to that fifth or get up to the kitchen line. Make sense? If you want to evolve your pickleball game, make sure you subscribe to Selkirk TV to stay up to date with the latest lessons and podcasts.